Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live on this very, very fine Cinco de Mayo. This is May 5th of the year 2025. Empire State of Baseball, episode number 123. Uno, dos, tres. Well, we are airing on Instagram, X, YouTube, and powered by StreamYard. Well, gentlemen, this is actually our very first inaugural Cinco de Mayo episode, just because of the way the
Is
calendar
it?
falls. Well, it's our
Prove
fourth
it.
year, and the way the calendar works, this has to be the
Okay.
first Monday of
Look at
May
that.
5th. So, cheers, gentlemen.
Got leap years though, Corey.
Cheers.
To the Battle of
I think this
Puebla.
is the first one. I think this is the first one. First of
Making
many.
it up as we go, I say.
Exactly. Well, gentlemen, how are you all doing on this very fine Monday evening?
Oh, doing great, man. Taking in the holiday. It wasn't a great week for both New York teams, and I felt like that's the first time we can actually say that on this show in 2025.
It wasn't.
It wasn't pretty baseball for neither the Mets or the Yankees. So I know we're gonna get more into it in the Empire Express. As you can tell from the background, I finally won a week in my fantasy baseball league, so I got a little nice little certificate that was sent to one of my good buddies, of course, for winning my first week of the fantasy league. So really do appreciate that. But yeah, we need to throw that up there. Why throw it on the fridge there, Joe?
Yeah. Oh man, poor Rich was riding the schneid, 0-5, and then he finally broke through. Now, granted, we're gonna give it a little grain of salt. He beat the other 0-5 team, so
somebody has to lose. Somebody has to lose in that matchup. Have it not be me.
Somebody had to lose, and for Rich's sake, it wasn't Rich. So he got a little certificate to celebrate his first win of the fantasy year.
Right here it says you did it.
That's how it goes. So I'm glad Rich is at least enjoying his first win of the year.
100%. Tom, how are you doing today?
We're tired, Richard. We're tired. We're fighting. We're battling. We're truly at war. We're outnumbered, and we're just. No, I'm just not gonna. I'm gonna pin in what I was gonna say and just say we're tired.
Well, let's leave it at that. Hey, let's take a look at what the chat's saying here and thus far on this Monday evening. We got Mike Pars in the building. Mike Pars just came in and just took the mantle away from Jacob Petruzzi with these early morning comments here. This came in at 6:35 this morning today, gentlemen. Smack that like and subscribe, which I absolutely agree. And Big Slick, damn, Jacob loses 2 weeks in a row. He does. Kristen with the skull emojis here. Jack Esposito, how we all doing? We got Jordan Tyler in the building. We got Hitman as always. Shout out to Hitman, one of our biggest supporters. Oh, there's Jacob. We are live on X, Instagram, YouTube, powered by StreamYard. And I'm right. You're right, Pars. A win is a win. A win is a win. Don't matter who you face, right? Doesn't matter who's ahead of you. You just got to beat whoever your opponent is, even if they're now 0-6. Whatever. Win's a win. I got my cert. I'm happy with that. And ESP Zone, Sierra Poteet, congrats to Rich for finally winning. Shout out to Sierra because she is the leader in the League of Savages. And in the ESP League, she tried to trade Austin Riley for Lucas Giolito. So just don't know what's happening there on Sierra's end.
I wasn't even going to bring it up because it was offensive, frankly.
Well,
I'm ready to kind of ban Sierra from the show tonight. What she attempted to do was it was reprehensible. It was something that shouldn't stand. If I'm going to be honest, if we're going to point some fingers, Corey, I needed you to be a little more responsive and to kind of step up and stop it. I feel like, we got to have a strong leader and leadership felt like it had to be pushed there. And we just can't have that. We can't have that in this league. I won't stand for it. I was ready to stage a coup. We had forces, had numbers, and just happy didn't have to come to that.
That was a rough trade.
Let's talk about Roback. Let's get right into it.
Let's talk about Roback. We're in some Roback right now. Some USA themed Roback as we kind of head into the summer. Roback is still out there with the most comfortable quarter zips, polos. They got new bathing suits out there. They got awesome stuff for the ladies as well. And as we're moving into the summer, you're gonna want some nice short sleeve options out there. Again, whether if you're a golfer or not, doesn't matter. Head over to roback.com, use promo code TWASPL15 to get yourself 15% off your first order. The summer big time for the holidays. Memorial Day are coming up. They always have really awesome USA themed things. I think Joe has a couple that he had got last year. Cool thing about the USA ones, if you've seen their rowback stuff, they always have the two stripes on the back for most of their polos. For the USA ones, they have the American flag, which is always awesome to rock. So head over to Rowback, use that promo code, save yourself some money as you get geared up for the summer.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. Go ahead and get those Rowbacks. I absolutely love them. My closet is loaded with them. And speaking about loaded, we have a loaded show tonight. We're going to start off pretty much as usual with the Empire Express, giving you the latest and greatest of both New York teams. And as Rich mentioned earlier, not the best weekend, not the best week for both the Mets and the Yankees. More come on that in a moment. We'll then go to one of our favorite segments too, every other week, the New York Strike Exchange, where we reveal our top 5 Bulls and top 5 Bears of the last 2-week period. We have a returning game segment tonight too. Guess the Graph, making its debut in the 2025 season. So we'll see what autographs we have to debut tonight and see who can get some more points for the leaderboard. And then finally, on the way up, this is a segment that we introduced last season where we're going to talk through some prospects. And it's not going to be your typical top 1, top 2 guys. Trying to go deep into the farm, get some guys who might not be as known across the fan base, do a little digging, a little research. So that'll be fun. We'll dive into those farm systems a little later in tonight's show. Anyway, Empire Express. Again, as you mentioned, Rich, it was not the best week for either New York team. We can go ahead and pull the graphics. Pretty much read one because it's going to show the same story, basically across the board there.
Well, we'll start with your crappy team. We'll start with the New York Mets here. The New York Mets, though, still in good position, though. 22-13. I know it's still relatively early to be monitoring any standings here, but it wasn't a great past 5 games. So then 1-4 in that last 5. They start a series tonight against the Arizona. I feel like they're playing the Diamondbacks like every single week. I don't know why, but they're playing the Arizona Diamondbacks again, this time on the road. They start that 3-game set later on tonight. Nice late cap for you Mets fans here on the East Coast. But Joe, how you feeling about this Mets team thus far? I mean, again, still in good positioning. You guys killed it in the first month of the season. So it's like you can have a stretch like this and still be okay.
Yeah, and the weird thing is it's hard to be too down on them because of they're 4-6 in the last 10, and 5 of the 6 of those games have been lost by 1 run, and the other game, the 6th game, was lost by 2 runs. So they've been in every game. So it's not like I came into a night where it was just like, okay, the baseball's over by the 5th inning. The Mets have been in the game until the last out every single game. The doubleheader yesterday kind of exemplified some of the bad luck the Mets have run into this past week. They hit 7 balls over 100 miles an hour that were all outs, including a ball that was brought back that was a 3-run homer by Juan Soto, was brought back into the ballpark for an out. That changed the complexion of the game. That would have won the Mets the game, basically, if they would have been able to hold it together the next 2 innings. So it's just it was an odd week. The Mets luckily have built themselves a buffer, and really the only weakness so far as this on this team right now is hitting with runners in scoring position. The Mets are like 27th in the league with runners in scoring position. They've left a stadium full of runners on the bases without converting. But other than that, the pitching has remained phenomenal, even though the bullpen has had a couple of hiccups this past week. And the offense is starting to click because Lindor's hitting well. Alonso's basically hitting like an MVP at the moment. And Soto all of a sudden is hitting the ball hard on the money and looks like he's starting to come into form.
A lot of money to pay for hitting the ball hard on the money. He just wants some results.
Compared to where he, the first half of the year, the first month of the year, he looked like he was rolling balls over a lot. And
speaking of bad investments,
timing was quite off. But I mean, he's been lacing the ball the last week and a half. So I'm hopeful that that's a sign of things to come. So it's not ideal to get swept in a doubleheader in St. Louis. Obviously, it's just a weird feeling because every loss they've been in to the end of the game.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to echo pretty much exactly what Joe said, all of these losses recently, 6 of the last 7, 1 run. All right. And the one that they lost by 2 runs, it was one of the games versus the Diamondbacks, where they left 7 men on base. And that was another game where they hung around and they had a chance to do some damage and they failed to do so. You look at some of these numbers of their last few losses. 5-4 loss in game 2 to the Cardinals, left 10 men on base. And again, it's unfortunate. That the Soto home run was taken away. Brandon Nimmo, missile line drive right to the right field. It makes a diving catch. Couldn't get any worse than that. You had the 6-5 loss to the Cardinals. Left 12 men on base, 3 for 15 with runners in scoring position. 13 left on base versus the D-backs. That was a 4-3 loss. 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. 8-7 loss to the Nats. 8 men left on base. That game was more so because of the bullpen. Completely imploded in about the 8th inning that week. 5-4 to the Nats earlier that series, 5 men left on base, and 4-3 to the Twins, left 9 men on base. So all of these losses over the last 2-week period, all could have been winnable games. Yesterday was so upsetting too, because it was a doubleheader. What a way to ruin a nice weekend by watching a couple of games and dropping both. And both games felt like they could have been winnable.
Yes.
Maybe the first game yesterday, you had Tridwell making his major league debut. He didn't look good, but the team themselves fought back and made it a game late. Okay, it is what it is. You go to game 2, try to win it and take the series. Game 2 to me felt so much worse than game 1, just because how everything played out. You doubled down on the losses. And again, I thought they were going to take the lead twice that game. The Soto home run that got robbed, and the Nimmo missile line drive that Walker made a diving catch on in right field. Both would have gave the Mets the lead. And again, they lost the game by 1 run. So, one of those hits goes down, it might be a completely different game. It's unfortunate, but like you said before, Rich, too, thankfully, the first month of the season, they have been phenomenal. They're still, 9 games over 500, so they're still in a very good spot. I would have signed up for this back on March 5th, let alone May 5th. But I would like to see them turn around. The good thing is they're not getting blown out. They're in every game. They just have to start getting some of these hard hits with runners in scoring position to actually come through, get some sack flies, play a little small ball in the big spots.
Mets probable for the next few days here. We got Griffin Canning tonight. He's entering play with a 2.61 ERA. He's facing Ryan Nelson. Tomorrow's game, David Peterson up against Zach Gallen. Just combined the last 2 pitchers. David Peterson up against Zach Gallen. Gallen coming off that pretty damn good start against the Mets in Queens last week, but he struggled throughout the season, 4.93 ERA. It actually seems like the only time Zach Gallen puts up a good start, Tom, is against New York teams. The once against the Yankees and the other against the Mets. And then on Wednesday, you have Kodai Senga up against Merrill Kelly. Kodai Senga entering play with a 3-2 record, 1.38 ERA. So, fellas, when you look at the schedule ahead that we have up here on the big screen, how are we feeling with these games? Arizona, tough customer. Chicago Cubs been one of the best teams in the National League thus far. Corey, Joe, how you guys feeling?
I just want to win series. Give me 2-3, 2-3. Just considering how it's played out, I guess you take 3-3 absolute worst. But I'd love to see the Mets come out tonight, get the W, get the monkey off your back of the last few losses. Dallin might double down and have a good Tuesday, and then win the series Wednesday. So ideally, give me 4 of 6, but 3-3 worse.
Surprisingly, the Arizona series for an early series in this year is actually extremely important. And the reason was the Mets won a tiebreaker against Arizona last year. That's what got them into the playoffs. If the Mets win 2 out of 3 against Arizona, they lock up the fact that they own the tiebreaker against Arizona this season. Mm-hmm. So if a wild card scenario were to come down to a tiebreaker, these games are important for that. The Mets already won 2 out of 3 against Arizona. So this is a really important series for them to take home and make sure that they have that tie-breaking scenario. The Cubs are interesting because they've been the most prolific offense in MLB, and I look up and down their roster, and I kind of question how. Because they don't have the brand names that you think of when you think of great prolific offenses. I mean, Kyle Tucker's a great player, but the rest of the lineup is interesting. And we see our former top prospect that we traded, who looks like an MVP candidate.
He's playing like a top 10 outfielder.
Yeah, who looks phenomenal in Pete Crow Armstrong. We're going to get our first look at him live since we've traded him. And that's something that I'm curious as a Met fan of what we gave up for basically an awful trade.
I know. And you think about, add to that point too, Joe, it's like you talk about Mets trades, and the one that always gets ripped upon is the Kelenic deal. Looking in hindsight, that deal was a massive win for the Mets because Edwin Diaz is still on the team and performing at a good level. He's an all-star closer, whereas Kelenic's already shifted teams at this point of his career. At the time, it was a bad value deal, don't get me wrong, but the Mets clearly were the winners of that deal. The deal that's not talked about much at all is the one that should be, at least it's getting a little more attention now, is that Armstrong for Baez trade. I mean, what a terrible deal if Armstrong goes out to have a great career for a rental that ended up with more drama with the whole thumbs down fiasco.
The Baez trade, see, the thing is, I never got that upset about the Diaz trade. Because Diaz was going to be here for 2 years no matter what. Baez was a rental, and the Mets were already trailing in the division when they made that trade. The Mets' chances of making the playoffs to begin with were not that great, and they gave up a top prospect for a Javi Baez and Trevor Williams, who was instrumental on that 101-win team. If the Mets had made that trade the following year where you're at 101 wins, you're thinking that Baez is the missing piece to get you to a World Series, that's one thing. I would never rip on a trade like that. But the point where the Mets were at the time, it was not a trade that needed to be done. We knew that the Mets, unless it was a miracle run, were probably not making the playoffs that year.
It was a panic
now
trade.
This kid looks like a fusion of Andrew Jones and Grady, Grady Sizemore when he first came up. That's what he looks like.
With blue hair. Yeah. Wild stuff. Sierra Paticos, I love PCA. Zach Allen loves pitching against New York right now. Yeah, he's looked good against the two New York teams thus far in a tough 2025 for Zach Allen. Tom, let's flip over to the New York Yankees. For the Yankees' sake. Yeah, well, we kind of have to. I mean, again, both New York teams look so hot this past week. The Yankees 2-4 out of their last 6 games. Still, again, just like the Mets, still at the top of their division, 2 games above the Red Sox. It's a weird American League East thus far in 2025. But you see pictured there is Max Fried, and Max Fried is definitely one of the certain bright spots of this team. It'll be more on Max Fried. Again, combining names here. There will be more on Max Fried a little bit later on tonight on the New York Strike Exchange, spoiler alert, but the Yankees still leading in certain categories. I mean, listen, you look at average OPS runs, you know that the help is coming from Aaron Judge for the most part. Batting average against for the pitching side also leads the league in that category as well. Thomas, how you feeling about this team, though?
It's hard to have a lot of strong feelings about this team right now because there's so many guys on this team that just shouldn't be on this team, and guys that if they're gonna be serious at the end of the year aren't going to be anywhere near this team. I'm talking about you, Pablo Reyes. You stink. You can't hit. You can't field. How are you even employed as a professional baseball player?
Christ.
He's horrible. He is like Jesus. Right? Him, I'll be honest. I've been a big fan of Oswaldo for a long time. He's just kind of sputtering. Peraza, I mean, should have traded like the typical Yankee story. Should have traded him years ago. We got Bebus up right now. He's don't want to be too critical of him yet because he hasn't had a lot of chances. There's just so many guys. The pitching staff stinks. Oh, the bottom end of the pitching staff stinks. We'll get into some of those later. One in particular, I think Rich and I might need our own little segment on because it's just pissing us off so much. I'll throw Clark Schmidt in there too. I don't think we're going to talk Clark later. He pisses me off too. Just throw strikes, Clark. You've been a starter for like 4 years. Sierra, like cover your ears right now, but you stink. You have to be better too. I can't. I'm kind of like can't stand Clark Schmidt anymore.
It's injuries with him, man. I mean, every time he starts pitching, he gets hurt again or something's bothering him.
But he's just like you
just can't gain consistency with that.
Yeah, like I mean, listen, Will Warren, and we'll talk about more him later. In some ways, I have more of a leash for him because he's a younger pitcher, and it's his first time really kind of getting the ball. But Clark Schmidt, you've been a starter for like 3 years now. I know some of that time's been injured, and like he just gets up there and he does like the Stroman where he's like afraid to throw strikes. It's so annoying. So stuff's not terrible either. But yeah, it's tough because this team is like yesterday, like half the lineup were like not major leaguers, and so like how can you get that upset at the same time? You know, like you don't have a ton coming back. I can't believe I'm saying this. Super excited to see DJ LeMahieu come back at this point.
I hate to say, you're absolutely right though. You're right. Third base has been an abyss. I mean, even if you get a third of the production of what DJ LeMahieu's been, it's still second. Better.
I mean, what they're getting Jazz is out. I mean, Jazz is who knows when Jazz is coming back. Not that Jazz was lighting the world on fire before he was out. So you can put DJ. I know DJ's been playing second. I think also in Somerset.
And I think actually now that you mentioned, I think Boone did mention he's looking to put him back at second base when he comes back.
I mean, either way, because wherever he starts, it's going to be the like rotation of idiots of Oswaldo and Oswald and Reyes 2-0. Judge
2-0. Trent Grisham 2-run home run off his former team.
Grisham. Oh, and your beat scored. There we go. See, you know what?
Bebas,
I take you out of the realm of idiots. It's now just Oswald. And
he wasn't.
Pablo
I don't think
Reyes.
you could put him in the realm yet.
Well, I said I wasn't ready to put him in, but now he's definitely not in that rotation of losers. No, yeah. So listen, just let him play second. And or third or whatever, and put DJ at the other spot, and the next thing I got to figure out is pitching. But like that's another one that's where we'll talk about some where you could find some things. It's just, like I said, it's so weird because this team is just it's Judge and some other guys offensively contributing, and then a bunch of those losers who shouldn't be in the majors.
So I'm gonna do this right now live on the show because I don't want to eviscerate this team so early. I mean, there's so much I can get into, but I don't want to do it. You know why I don't want to do it? Because I got guys like Corey Favs who's always reminded me to wait till Memorial Day, the first checkpoint of the season. So this is what we're gonna do. God bless you, Joe. Thank God you went on mute for that. This is what I'm gonna do. I don't know what's gonna happen Memorial Day Monday if we're gonna have a show or not because it's still a holiday. But that week, whether we do the show Monday night or Tuesday, what I'm gonna suggest is we make it a first checkpoint show where each of us get an unfiltered, uncensored, non-interrupted 5-minute block to go off on our team, whether it's a positive or negative or a little bit of both. But that should be like literally the first checkpoint show. We're going to really make it a thing here, Corey Favs.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm all for it too because I've seen too many times. I always say it too many times where the first 2 months of the season is completely different than the last 3 or 4. I've seen it in both ways now. I mean, in recent history with the Mets, 2021 count, I started going the wrong direction, and now here you go. Last year went in the complete opposite direction, where they were terrible Memorial Day weekend. They made the NLCS, so I love the idea, Rich. I'm all for it.
These games still count, though. So I mean, they like both teams need to win games. If you go back a couple years, the year the Yankees they had to go to Fenway for that 1-game wild card. They were in Fenway because they shouldn't have been in that spot. The team was better throughout the year, but they just lost so many games early so these games matter, I guess is my point. They have to find ways to win these games. I know the Mets have some of their own issues going on. The Yankees certainly have their own problems. Thankfully, the AL East is turned into the AL Central, so we're getting some cushion there. But they gotta get some of the stuff figured out, and they gotta get some like bodies and like some real like players in.
What two things with the Yankees, one positive, one negative. The positive thing with the Yankees is they're not being chased down by very strong teams. I think Boston is going to end up being a strong team, but after that, the Blue Jays aren't a strong team, the Rays are not a strong team, and the Orioles, we don't know what the Birds are doing. Right, the Birds have terrible pitching, so I don't think they're capable of chasing down the Yankees, even if the offense is clicking. The negative when it comes to the Yankees is if you look at the first month, and Jordan said this in the chat, they're 12-15 in non-Fried games. You have Fried, who has a 1 even ERA through his first 7 games, and you have Aaron Judge, who is hitting the ball at a rate that you haven't seen since
arguably the best pitcher in the American League and definitely the best hitter in the American
League. Correct. And so even I'm not saying that they're not going to be great all year. They're not going to be this good all year. So if Judge starts hitting at 330, which I think is still an absurd clip, but that's still a huge step down. That's a 100-point step down. And so that would be my main concern as a Yankee that gets me nervous. I'm doing this right now. We're in the lead, and I got the two players, my two stars on this team are playing completely out of their minds. Even with a little regression from the two stars, who's going to be the guys to step up? Because nobody really else has shown Jazz is going to be on the IL a very long time. We still don't know when Giancarlo's coming back. Volpe and Wells are not the players I think that we thought they were. You know, they're role players, but they're not carrying offenses. So the improvement's got to come from somewhere. It's just I don't know how many options what do you expect? Will Warren?
Well, also the other question is how good are they going to be when the time comes that they do have to make moves from external, from other teams? They may not be. Listen, it can go one or two ways. They can kind of keep the pace they're on, tread water, and then they're going to make the moves to get better. Or, like you said, a couple of guys from the top fall down and everybody else falls apart too with them. Then you don't even know what kind of team you have by the time you get midseason. And forget about it. 2 moves are going to help your team.
Correct.
It helps your team maybe crack a playoff spot, but that's about it. Corey?
Yeah. I mean, every point right now is 100% correct, too. I mean, thank God for the Yankees that you got Judge and Fried playing at the level they are. But it's going to be interesting what happens. I mean, Fried, absolute home run. I mean, he's been so phenomenal. He has a shot being the top bull of the week when we reveal that list. You give credit to Rodon. He's had a lot better couple of weeks, too. We'll see if he cracks the list as well. But you need those two guys to pitch at a high level. Now, I'm very confident in Fried. Rodon's a little bit roll the dice. You have the potential in him going out there and giving you 7 strong innings. You have the potential of him going 4 2/3 and giving up 5 runs. So you really need Rodon to be pitching as a number 2 pitcher that you're paying him to be. And you need a couple of these other guys to step up. And you have to start getting some more consistency, too. I mean, Tom mentioned it at the start of the show. You got some of these guys, some instances, no-name guys. Pablo Reyes getting playing time. So you hope to at least get some stability and have the same guys in the same position for a lot. I mean, think of some of the other guys who had some big moments. Trent Grisham is not a career player at the numbers he's been putting up recently, too. But it's been great. It's paying off for the Yankees.
Got 9 home runs. Who would have thought that Grisham had 9 home runs?
And it's forced the Yankees' hand there, too. And I know there's a lot of talk, and this happened on the Bronx team for the last couple weeks now. But Trent Grisham has forced the Yankees' hand to keep his starting spot in the lineup.
You have to at this point.
Then you're put in a kind of an unfair position in left field, because unless you're rotating the other outfielders out DH, you have to put either your top prospect on the bench in Jason Dominguez or a very streaky veteran that needs playing time to catch a rhythm also on the bench. So it puts him in a weird spot. It's a good problem to have, and I'm glad Trent Grisham's doing what he's doing, but the Yankees are in a peculiar situation when it comes to left field.
Exactly. And the problem is, too, this one last point, and I'll give it back to you, Tom. Jason Dominguez, how upsetting is it? He's finally getting the shot, uninterrupted. He's the undisputed guy getting regular playing time, and he's not performing at the level you want. It's so deflating, especially me. I have fantasy stock in the guy, too, in multiple leagues. It's just a shame.
If you see his right-hand to left-handed splits, though, Corey Favs, he's an over 300 hitter against right-handers. He cannot hit from the right side of the plate. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah.
Crazy. I was going to say the other kind of problem, and not really, I don't call him a problem, is the fact that Ben Rice really is not much of a fielder. I know he could catch. Yes, he could play first, but he's not really great at either of those. So he's a bit clogging up the DH spot where you could rotate through Bellinger. And then Stan's going to come back eventually. And then that ultimately completely clogs up.
That's going to be a mess.
The DH spot. I don't know what they do at that point. I mean, injuries happen, but
straight up platoon them.
Yeah, you got to say.
Stan against lefties, Rice against righties.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that. I think you're going to want to.
Or it happens at first base too. And again, that's also another difficult spot because look how great Paul Goldschmidt is. It's like the Yankees are fine in areas of the outfield, first base, DH. And then everywhere else, it's like they don't have the surplus there. You don't have enough. Yeah, the rest of their team is just not good. It's not doing it.
Volpe, for another one who pisses me off quite frequently, has been hitting the ball a little bit better over the last week. Now, of course, he hurt his shoulder. He is playing tonight, so that's good. But he's kind of made some adjustments. So that's encouraging. If you get if he can just get on base and run around a little bit, he always can cause some havoc. But even his defensive, I don't know. The team just, the rest of the infield is just.
I've been kind of shocked on how much discourse there's been on X about Jason Dominguez sitting. Like, what are you supposed to do? Your fourth outfielder has 10 home runs this year.
The problem is the Yankees 3 years ago, whatever, made the biggest deal in the world that Anthony Volpe, and he's gonna have his growing's gonna be at the major league level, and that's where he's gonna develop, and he's gonna get all the shots in the world. And they let him play every single day to develop. Dominguez is a better prospect than Volpe. He's been higher on the lists, and they seemingly aren't giving him that same chance. And I think that's the frustrating part is if you gave it to Volpe, why aren't you giving it to Dominguez? I understand what Grisham's doing, but I mean, Dominguez is a guy you want here for the next 6-7 years on this rookie contract. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Bellinger. Then maybe he has to sit more, and you look to Dominguez play. That's the perspective.
My pushback to that is very simple. When Volpe came up and took over the shortstop position, who was his competition for shortstop?
Peraza and
Oswald Peraza.
But so that's what I'm saying. Volpe got every shot in the world because there was no other option, right? Like there was no other option.
Bellinger, and I like Cody Bellinger. I think, like Rich said, I think he has to play to be better. Mm-hmm. He's not been good though. He hasn't been good. You could say, listen, Dominguez, you're playing. Dominguez and Grisham and Judge are playing.
But we know what $25 million affords you. $25 million affords you an opportunity. And yes, you're right. At some point, you're going to get there. If Bellinger's hitting 190 in August, the Yankees are going to be like, the heck with this guy, because it's not a permanent marriage with him. But $25 million affords you the opportunity to play because Cashman has to justify that the cost of that. Hal's going to ask him, why am I paying $25 million to sit the bench? And for a guy in Dominguez who hasn't exactly earned the spot, it's not like Dominguez is hitting 290. Dominguez is hitting 230 with one home run this year, 2 home runs this year.
Rich's point though, against righties, he's been great, truly great. I think Jack's comment is a bit backwards here. I understand sitting him against lefties if that's what you want to do, but I mean, who's pitching for San Diego? Nick Pavetta's a righty, right? So why isn't he playing today? Because
my thing is
he's been like double the player offensively that Bellinger's been. So if you're trying to win these games, you should be putting. Sorry, Cody, you can sit the bench. You can maybe get some first base in and let Goldschmidt take a day or whatever and figure that out.
I said this earlier on the space, and it's unpopular, but if this is the route if Grisham continues to perform the way he is, and again, I still think he's going to level out. And the way
he's not going to hit 30 home runs this
everybody
year.
Else coming back, I think the Yankees are going to be left with an option where they may have to just send Jason Dominguez back down to AAA just so he can afford to get playing time every single day.
Could be.
So that's might have to be on the table as well, and I hate to say it. But we'll move on from there. A few comments here in the chat. I know I just pulled them up, but Mike Pars goes, they are deep in positions that are playing well each game and thin at positions where the performance hasn't been good. Jack, the other problem with Jason Dominguez is struggling against righties. Cody Bellinger, better against lefties. So problem Dominguez needs to play. Correct, Tom. He should be playing tonight. That's crazy. And then Dr. Kulo says mismanagement. Mismanagement, sure. But again, they have a surplus in positions right now that aren't performing. I'm in love with Parsons' take here. They're thin in the positions where they're simply not getting adequate performance there. All right, we're gonna move on from the Empire Express because we still have a lot of show left here. Corey Favs, let's touch on Instagram though.
Yeah, go ahead and follow us on Instagram. We have 7,100 followers and continuing to grow. Empire State of Baseball. You'll find all our archive segments, our meme reels, the graphics from the show. Instagram's a fun time. So go ahead again at Empire State of Baseball. And you can follow all of us individually, myself at Corey Favs, Joe at JR Pugs, Rich at Rich J. Rivera, and Tom at T. Wospil.
All right, it's New York Strike Exchange time. And this time around, we added a new twist to the New York Strike Exchange, which I talked about a little bit. Well, Joe talked about it himself a little bit last week before we ended episode number 122, but we're on to 123 here. We're going to get into our Bears and Bulls first, and then we're going to get into the new caveat to our Bears and Bulls segment. So, Corey Favs, why don't you start us off with the Bears list, the bad?
Yeah, looking at this Bears list that we have right here, at the very bottom there, Oswaldo Cabrera, 275 average, night. Whoa. Those are high numbers for a Bear.
How's the guy who was in 275 in the Bears list?
I think.
Hold on a second.
Richard made it.
We might have had a boo-boo there. Let's ignore Oswaldo Cabrera's numbers, though. They're bad. And get to Devin Williams, and I'll pull up the Cabrera numbers.
There we go. Well, Devin Williams, number 4th on the list. He's been a little better as of late. You know, he had the blown save at the start of this 2-week period, the 9 ERA because of that outing. He's been better since, but the fact that he lost his closer job really gets him on this list because he's supposed to be one of the best, if not the best closer in the game. In the 3 spot is Clark Schmidt. Of course, 9 innings, 6 earned runs, so you're expecting a little more out of Clark. Will Warren had 0-2 over 13 innings pitched to a 6.23 ERA. And at the top there, it's an unfortunate signing. The one Met on the list is Ryan Stanek. Similar with him too, like Devin Williams. The last couple of outings have been better. He hasn't given up a run in his last 2 starts. The problem is he blew about 3 or 4 games earlier in that 2-week period. So it's been a very frustrating couple of weeks for Ryan Stanek in some big spots. Again, pitching a little better as of late, which is encouraging to see. But yeah, this rounds up our top 5 Bears.
Oswaldo Cabrera obviously not hitting at that clip. I think we just did a copy paste from last week's Bull, who was in that spot. I forgot who was that. But for Oswaldo Cabrera in the last over the last 14 games, 231 batting average, 286 on base percentage, an OPS of 542, and he has struck out 8 times, which is more why Oswaldo Cabrera is on the Bear list and not those ridiculous numbers right there that would put anybody on the Bulls list. But Joe, one Met topping the list there, and Ryan Stanek. Thank you for cursing Ryan Stanek for him to be on this list.
I feel like Stanek's don't get me wrong, he hasn't been good, but I feel like Stanek's on here because I jinxed him by singing his praises at the last episode, and since then he's blown 3 saves. So I can't excuse the performance. I'll say this: two problems I have with this list right now.
Okay,
either Bellinger or Wells should be above Oswaldo on number 5. And I think when you are an all-star closer and you lose your closer's job, you automatically should be the first on the list. I know Stanek's performance has been worse, but Williams was expected to be a phenomenal, great closer and hasn't been that. So
in the couple appearances that Williams has had, though, so it was the first one that took that he lost his closer role in.
Yes.
The thing is, ever since he's been taken out of the role, he's actually looked pretty damn good in
the other 2 innings.
So that's what kept him low on the list.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. I understand Joe's point, but yeah, I was going to say the 2 Devin Williams blowups. There's been multiple Devin Williams blowups this season. But the last 2 most recent, one came at the very end of the last Bulls-Bears list, and the next one came at the very beginning of this one. So, and Stanek has been worse. So with what Williams has been doing, listen, he's on the list. I think that says it enough.
Can we talk about 2, Tom?
I mean, I can't. I'll be honest. Number 2 and 3 are the same person to me right now. It's just like, be better. I'm sorry. Like you guys, can Clark Schmidt? Is Clark Schmidt afraid of the number 6? Because I don't think he's pitched in the 6th inning. In the last couple of years, he can't get himself through. And they both of them and what's frustrating about both of them. Someone said in the chat about Cookie Carrasco being on the list. Cookie Carrasco is old and washed up, and the fact that he's even still able to tie his own shoes to get, is impressive. So good for Cookie Carrasco. No one expects anything out of him, and he's doing a job.
Feels very Joe heavy. God,
Will Warren and Clark
I voted most of these guys in.
Are both guys that have pretty good stuff. They don't have phenomenal stuff, right? They're not pumping 99, and they're not throwing sliders that can break a table, but they have good stuff. They need to throw strikes. it's so frustrating watching them pitch and just kind of pitch around guys and walk guys, and then they're out the third, fourth, maybe the fifth inning if it's Clark, Will Warren. I don't think Will Warren's got to the fifth inning, and they do that, and the Yankee bullpen has been, other than Devin Williams, has been really good this year for the most part. But you're going to just start overtaxing the bullpen when you have two guys, or you have three guys, frankly, in the rotation that you're not ever getting past the fifth inning. I mean, say what you want about Carlos Rodon, who is pitching a very good game so far tonight. He's going to give you innings though. He's at least, I mean, for all the money you pay, you want more than that, but he's going to give you some innings. And Max Fried's been phenomenal. The rest of those other guys need to produce more, and I can't do it anymore. And I like Clark Schmidt, and Will Warren seems fine. It's not like I dislike them as like I hate them on my team, but they need to be better. We cannot continue this way with them,
especially Warren. I mean, I give Schmidt a little bit of just because he's coming off the injury. Like, he was guaranteed a rotation spot if he had remained healthy from the start. Will Warren has an opportunity here, and he's blowing every single chance he's been getting. Swift here, my buddy Swift goes, I was told for the last 16 months that Will Warren was that guy. He's not that guy, pal. He's not that guy.
I don't know if anyone said he's that guy.
Will Warren's not been good. And honestly, one positive that came out of this weekend, Tom, I actually really liked what I saw out of Ryan Yarbrough, and I know he's at the stage of his career where he probably shouldn't be in a major league starting rotation, but compared to what the Yankees have got at the bottom end, I wouldn't mind Yarbrough pushing one of these guys out of a rotation spot.
Yeah, I mean, The thing about Yarbrough is he's also like a good, just valuable mop up guy, and he can come in and give you on games when one of those idiots can't get through the third inning, and he's going to come in and give you 3 innings and at least not destroy your bullpen. But Yarbrough is never going to be able to give you more than 4 innings, guys, if you keep stretching them out. I think that's the concern. Then you're continuously taxing the bullpen, and by starting Yarbrough, you're getting rid of the guy who can mop up, just that important role of getting outs.
All right, Tom, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to take a deep breath for me, because you're about to do the Bulls list. Go ahead.
The Aaron Judge Invitational list, we'll get to him, but we'll start on the bottom of the list with Carlos Rodon, who is frankly tonight making a bid to try to stay on this Bulls list. 2-0 over these last 2 weeks, 13 innings, 15 strikeouts. He's still, I think last time I saw, he's still leading the AL in strikeouts. So he's starting to earn that money, which is great to see out of Carlos. Pete Alonso in the 4 spot, who has probably been, I don't know, Joe Corey, correct me, maybe the Mets MVP this year so far. He's been, so he's been absolutely killing it. Powers there, all of that. He's truly been all you could ask for. Francisco Lindor in the 3 spot. Lindor's numbers are always so interesting to me. I feel like I look at we run these Bulls and Bears list every 2 weeks. And every week I just look at Lindor's 2 weeks splits, and it's like, they're just really good. Like, sometimes they're phenomenal, but they're always just like really good. Like, I feel like what we're seeing here is just like just a solid, not solid. These are great numbers, but he's someone just does constantly perform, and awesome player, awesome personality. Good to see him on the Bulls list. Number 2 in one of the, I mean, if it wasn't for Aaron Judge, you would look at like one of the best 2 weeks you could want from a pitcher. Max Fried, 2-0. How many runs did he give up? None. He gave up 0 runs, 13 innings. Not a ton of strikeouts, but that's not really Fried's game. He's more about just kind of getting through, and which is good because the Yankees can't afford for him to kind of go for too many strikeouts and even get out to save the bullpen. Carlin's only hitting 136 against him. Fried has been phenomenal. I waxed poetically how much I love Max Fried last week. And this is how he repays me. So thank you, Max. And then number 1 is Aaron Judge, just doing truly video game number type stuff, hitting almost 500 in a 2 week stretch, 1.4 OP. Aaron Judge is, I don't know if it's just that, hey, he's great and he's just getting better every year. I don't know if everything that happened with Soto just like pissed him off this offseason and said like, I'm going to show people that I am the best player, not just in New York, but in baseball. Maybe he's getting pissed off at all the Ohtani waxing that we see all over baseball. He's been so good. It's ridiculous about what he's putting up. Just silly stuff.
He's been a freak. He's been an absolute freak. I will say this before I pass it over to Corey and Joe to touch on the Mets folks on here. So I actually, when you said that, I did not know Rodon was the American League leader in Ks until I'm looking at it right now. 57 strikeouts, is the leader in the AL. He's second overall in baseball to Mackenzie Gore, who's leading all of baseball with 68 strikeouts.
And he's led baseball like all year. He's been like the AL leader the entire season. It's not even like he just had like a game that went, because he hasn't had a nuts game. He hasn't had a game where he's like struck out 12 guys. He just constantly strikes out like 8 every time.
So I'll be frank with you. I may be the only one out of the mix here that voted somebody else in the number 1 spot. I actually had Max Fried at number 1. I think Max Fried, what he's been doing, I think has been incredible. I've a 0 ERA. He's looked efficient throughout his starts over the last, especially his last 5, where he's been a straight 5-0. I was trying to get him up into the number 1 spot last time. This time I was like, 0 ERA. He's looked phenomenal. I'm going to give him the number 1 spot this time around.
I tried also. I thought about it. But we're going to, how many more times do we get to see this year?
That's Brady. I mean,
I was going to say, like, we're going to have a handful more times this year where Yankees or Mets are going to go 2-0 with, not giving up a run. And that's going to happen. We're not going to see what Judge is doing. Maybe unless it's done by Aaron Judge.
Right. You're going to see a pitcher give up no runs over 2 starts. You're probably not seeing a hitter hit close to 500 over a 2-week span. That's pretty hard to do.
While playing every day, it's not even like a small sample size weird thing. But Rich, to your point, like Max Fried, if it's kind of like, but his expectations are high too. I don't know. Like they're Max Fried deserves to be top of this list. It just happens.
It's tough. I mean, if Aaron Judge this last 2-week period hit 380, a 1.05 OPS, still a phenomenal 2-week period, Fried would have been number 1. It's just crazy how good Aaron Judge's been over the last 2 weeks. Do want to give a shout out to Francisco Lindor, the 3 spot on the list. The last 2 periods, I predicted he was going to make his way onto the Bulls list. Just missed it last time. I think he was the 6th of the rankings last time. Just missed it by a fraction. So very happy to see Francisco Lindor makes the cut. Again, the thing with Lindor, you're going to get 3 rough weeks out of him. He doesn't like the cold weather. And then all of a sudden, he finds his groove, and it is takeoff. Like Tom said, every 2 weeks, you get good, consistently above average numbers, basically the rest of the way. So very happy to see him cut the list here.
So two things. I would have flipped Alonso and Lindor.
I would agree.
Just because, I mean, look at the OPS. Alonso has not. Alonso was number 1. He hasn't declined. He just has 2 guys above him that are playing at an unworldly level. And I actually have a problem with the number 5 spot. I think we should have showed some love to Griffin Cannon, who has a .9.
I think Griffin Cannon can go fuck himself.
but if you're talking about ERA, he's got a better ERA than Carlos Rodon, and Griffin Cannon was not expected to be what Carlos Rodon's expected to be good. Cannon's not expected to be that. So it's not an egregious thing, but I would just give up 1 run less than Rodon in his last 2 starts. But I had Cannon on my list. And I also had Goldschmidt. I had Goldschmidt in the 6th spot. So I
actually had a look there, Joe. I did have Canning on my list too. I had him at number 4. I had Rodon as 5.
Canning just missed the list. I think we had.
Wait, how did he miss the list? Tom must have left him completely
off.
This is the Bulls list is my list.
I had these as my
the only thing is
too.
I think I put Rodon over a lot. This is my 5. So.
Wait,
I think I had Rodon
over Alonso. What?
I can do whatever the hell I want.
Oh, come on.
Are you sure? Wait, Joe, you sure you want to run this thing that we were going to talk about soon?
Oh, my God.
We may have to pull back on it.
Yeah, he's gonna be doing what do you call him? A corner in his own market.
I will say I was with Tom.
He's
I
gonna
had
be
the
shorting his own
same
stocks.
Hitman goes canning over Rodon. You are such a homer, Joe, and you can never be unbiased. SMH.
Hitman, Cannon has given up 1 earned run in his last 3 starts. It's not like I'm putting a guy on there with 5 earned runs in his last 3 starts. He's given up 1.
He's pitched. Listen,
Rodon's given up 2 more runs in his last game.
Pull the numbers back up. He's pitched 1 less inning. He has 5 less strikeouts, and his WHIP is almost certainly higher. He's given up 15 base runners. He's a 1.5 WHIP.
Again, the guy had no expectations. He was the long man for them.
Okay, sure. He didn't have as good of a 2-week stretch as Rodon did. I don't know what to tell you.
Ball should have made the list. It's hard of who you're going to take out, but I think Ball should have made the list there. Okay. All right. So that's the normal part of Bulls and Bears. This is how we typically work the show. Now, this is a time of the segment where I would go around and ask everybody, hey, by the time we do our next Bulls list, which is a Bulls Bears list, which is going to be May 19th, who do you think is going to crack the Bulls list? Well, guess what?
Rodon's going to half the base runners as Griffin Canning.
Oh, God.
He's
still going. We're going to nix that part of the bit, and we'll replace it with something that I think is going to be a little bit more fun, a little bit more interactive, and I think it's a fun way to enhance the segment, which I think is already great as is. So for more on what we're going to be calling the trading floor, Joe, take it away.
Yes, as somebody who spent a lot of time at the New York Stock Exchange when I was younger, we're going to introduce this new concept called the trading floor to coincide with our Bulls and Bears list. And what the trading floor is, we are basically going to pick players like we are picking stocks. And we're going to come up with a point system, and we're going to come up with a value of it. We're still kind of working out the kinks, and we'll have that for the next iteration of this. But basically, each of us is going to take a turn. We're going to pick 3 players as our investments, right, for the next one. And what happens is, if any of those players makes the Bulls or the Bears list, you are going to either gain points or lose points corresponding to where they end up. That will give you the option to sell a stock, maybe sell a stock high, or sell a stock low and take your losses and pick another player in order to try and gain points. So we are going to sit here, and the 4 of us are going to play this game, and we're going to try and see who can predict the success of these players.
Are we snake drafting, Joe? Is that what we're doing? Or can we have the same people? Could all of us have a piece of the same person?
Start reverse order from the current regular stand-ins.
I think there could be there's no crossover. So Tom and I can't pick the same guy.
Correct.
Okay.
No, right. You could pick the same guys. You are picking a stock. I could buy Apple stock. You could buy Apple stock. So we could both buy stock in a player if we both want to buy stock in Aaron Jones.
I kind of think we shouldn't be able to. I kind of think we should snake draft it. We're workshopping this live here. I kind of think we should snake draft it, and then we can't pick the same guys.
No, I think it's all based on intuition. You can't pick any Bulls. You can't pick anybody on the Bulls.
No Bulls. So these 5
no Judge, Alonso, Lindor, and it actually works out that probably 5 of the supposed to be top players on our teams are all Bulls lists. So you can't pick a Bulls list. You got to pick 3 players that are off the board. You can pick somebody on the Bears list.
Okay, so how about this? We, right now the game standings, I know this has nothing to do with the game standings. Right now, Joe's at the top of that leaderboard. I'm second, and then Corey and Tom are tied at 3. How about this? Let's go in the order of the game standings as we have it right now. And Luckily for you, Joe, this is your baby. So how about you go at it? What are your picks looking like for the next time? Who are you investing in?
Okay, my first investment is going to be Mark Vientos. Okay. Vientos has had 5 hits in the last 5 games. He's finally starting to come around, hitting the ball hard. That's going to be my first pick. I think his offense is on the upswing. He's up to 218 batting average and 304 on base percentage. Doesn't sound too sexy, but given the fact that he was batting in the 100s very recently, I think he's on the upswing. So that's my first pick for my first stock investment here.
maybe for the essence of time, maybe it's just best if you just do all three at the same time, like all three, and then go around the room that way.
Okay. My second pick, I'm going to the Bears list, and I'm going to take Devin Williams.
Ooh.
Devin Williams lost his closer role. Again, I don't think this is going to be one that pays off quickly. This is going to be a long-term investment. But Devin Williams has a good week. He saves 5 or 6 games in a 2-week span. Devin Williams could be on top of the Bulls list in no time. So I'm going with Devin Williams. That's a low stock option. I'm taking that. We're calling that a penny stock right now. Some CEO just slept with his secretary. That's the
family
kind of
show
we got going on. So I'm gonna buy low on that. That's BP oil having an oil spill in the Gulf. That's what that is. Buy low, baby. So I'll take Devin Williams as my second pick. And then my third pick, let's see here. My third pick, I'm going to go with Juan Soto. He's breaking out. It's a common pick, I know. But listen, Juan Soto is going to be on this list sooner or later. So I'm going with Juan Soto. He just missed a game-changing 3-run homer that got robbed yesterday. So that's going to be my pick for that. So those are my 3. Vientos, Devin Williams, Juan Soto. Those are my 3 for this iteration of the
Juan Soto feels unfair, but okay.
Yeah, but he's taking advantage of him not being on this. It's like as if we all voted for him not to be on the list so we can invest in him for this segment. That's fine though, because we can all invest in Juan Soto, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Since there is no such thing as since we can have crossover, I am also going to buy in on Juan Soto making this list, because why wouldn't I do that at this stage? Juan Soto. Secondly, I'm going to go Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt was on the cusp of making my personal list. He's been hitting up well over 350. He's been consistent towards the top of the Yankees order. I'm going to go with Paul Goldschmidt as my second pick. And my last pick, a little tough. I'll stick Yankee as well. Go with the guy who's now in the closer's role. I'm going to go Luke Weaver. So those are my 3. That one's for you, CK. Corey Favs, what do you got?
I'm also going Juan Soto. I mean, the guy's been playing a lot better in the last week and a half, so I'm riding with that. I'm also going to take a bear. I'm actually going to go with the top bear of the week, Ryan Stanek. I just don't think Stanek is going to be a top bear this time next week. Even if he ends up not making a list, it's better than being the worst bear of the week. So I'm going to go with Ryan Stanek. I feel good about that stock. And I'm going to join you too, Rich. I'm actually going to go Luke Weaver as well. Luke Weaver, having a very nice year so far. He hasn't cracked our Bulls list just yet either. So I think Luke Weaver and Juan Soto could be both debuts pretty soon.
So that was Juan Soto, Luke Weaver, and who was the third?
Ryan Stanek.
Okay, go ahead, Tom.
So I'm just going to just ruin the Juan Soto thing and also take him, which I then propose Juan Soto's off the board and everyone picks another player because it's not fun picking Juan Soto. But I will pick Juan Soto.
If he makes the Bulls list, you sell your stock high and you invest it in somebody else.
I guess. So I'll take Juan Soto. Rich, I thought about Goldschmidt. The problem is he doesn't hit homers. So he's gonna have a high average, but he hits behind Judge, so he's not gonna get driven.
He's shown a little bit of an uptick in power lately, though.
I'm not saying I love what he's doing. I just think to get on this list, he's gonna have a hard time. I'm actually gonna take 2 Mets. I'm a huge investor fantasy wise in the Brandon Nimmo, and I will take Brandon Nimmo also. Was he hurt?
No. I like the pick, Tom. You sit here and give me crap about Nimmo all the time, and
I'm the biggest Nimmo fan here. He's on every one of my fantasy teams. I'm a huge Nimmo guy. And then I'm looking. I'm between. Oh God. I'll take Ben Rice. I'll take him. I like what he can do. If we're talking about how to get on the Bulls list, if we're talking strategy, you need homers, you need RBIs, and he's the one I think most likely to be able to do that, to get onto the list. So I'll take Ben Rice.
Nimmo, Rice, and Soto for Tom. I have Soto, Goldschmidt, Weaver. Joe has Vientos, Williams, and Soto. And Corey has Soto, Stanek, and Luke Weaver. So that's the investments. That's what we're looking at. So now all these guys here, I would assume there's a currency involved with every single one of these players as well. I know that we're going to work out within the week. So we'll get more of those details as we presented to y'all. But this is going to be the new thing moving forward. The trading floor of the New York Strike Exchange. So good luck, everybody. Happy investing. All righty. From that, we go over to our YouTube bit. And for that, we throw it over to Joseph.
Okay, you can view our show on X or Instagram, but YouTube is our preferred method of viewership. Why? Because we can interact with you guys live on the show. We can bring up your comments, no matter how crazy or biased they are, and we can respond to them directly on the show. So go over to YouTube, go to Empire State of Baseball. You can join our 460 plus subscribers on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. Hit the like button on the video. Also free. It helps us out tremendously. Don't forget to go to YouTube. Join us over there and help us out.
All right, let's pick up some ground here. We're going to get right into Guess the Graph. And for our first autograph ball, Corey Favs, let's see what you brought to the table.
Yeah, for this autograph ball, it was a one-year wonder with the New York Metropolitans. I know we'll give a couple of hints throughout the segment. So the only thing I'll say first, he was a one-year timer with the Metropolitans, and he was an offensive player.
Richard Hidalgo.
It is Richard Hidalgo.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, it helps to have the same first name. I probably signed my first name that way a few times in my life, but I picked up the RH there, and I wasn't sure if he was a Met. I just
I knew he was
like
a
a
Met.
signature by Richard Hidalgo. So,
I was gonna guess actually Rich Hill because again,
I thought Rich Hill was going to get some looks, and I thought that might have thrown people off. Because Richard Hidalgo was only a Met for about 5 months. They traded from early in the 2004 season.
Speaking of Rich Hill, is Empire Elephant still technically going because Rich Hill hasn't signed or figured out what he's doing for his career?
I don't know, Rich. It's your game. You should know.
I mean, we still haven't figured out where he's going. I mean, Keith had him going to the Pirates for a one-year deal, so I guess the game's still going until he ultimately calls it quits. But all right, we'll get to the second ball. Tom, you brought this one.
Yeah. Earthquake here. Watch out, guys. Okay, we're good.
Legit earthquake or just you being
I don't know.
stupid?
It seemed like there was an earthquake, so.
All right, well, here we go. We're going to go with Tom's ball here. Let's see what you got.
Yeah, this guy has 2 arms.
Come on, really?
This is Tommy
Canley.
This is not Tommy Canley. This is an active player.
Joe, that's a great guess.
I thought that was a good guess.
Great guess. That's a great guess.
Yeah,
One
one
nailed
point for Joe. I'll keep track.
You keeping track? All right, good man.
I am keeping track, and I will also look in the chat.
Thank you.
Everyone else have the chat hidden, I assume?
Of course.
Good. We already have a correct guess in the chat. So,
Johnny Damon. No, you said active player.
No, you said it though.
Tell me. Yeah,
Check swing. Did he go? He went. Okay, you have to guess. It's not Johnny Damon.
Jonathan Loizaga.
Not Jonathan Loizaga.
Not a guess, but the fan who fell at PNC just took his first steps.
Good. Good for him. That was
he's alive. And this guy's alive too. Nope, not gonna do that. Not gonna do that. You literally said active player. I'm not gonna say this. The guess I was gonna make.
I keep thinking of older players. Like, it's not him.
I almost want to give hints, but like the fact that 2 people in the chat got it so fast, I feel like maybe this was too easy. Get a couple more wrongs.
Maybe I'm
both
overthinking
out there.
I feel like I'm overthinking it.
God, I got like 2 names.
I'm the only one who. Oh.
Yeah, you gotta guess, Corey.
All right, Jimmy Rollins, X. He's not an active player.
Is not Jimbo Rollins.
This is not my guess because he's not an active player, but this definitely looked like a Johnny Gomes autograph. But
that's actually a good one,
right? Doesn't it look like Johnny Gomes signed that ball?
I mean, it could. It's not. It's not Johnny Gomes. I'm not gonna. I will say you held up on that one. So we got two strikes for Joe, 1 for Rich, 1 for Corey.
Active player. I really love the Tommy Canley guess. Almost want to guess it again. Have Tom tell me I'm wrong.
I'm gonna burn it. I know it's not him. No, I can't because.
Is he active?
Yes.
Well, guess them.
I just
Rich, don't look at your phone. Apparently, Joey Bag of Donuts is trying to cheat, and he texted you the answer.
I'm not.
No, I'm not doing that. I already turned my phone over. If you heard that,
It was a Yankee, a current or former Yankee, though, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And then,
I gotta say, the chat is absolutely dunking on you guys right now.
fuck. I don't know. Billy McKinney.
It's not Billy McKinney.
it's got to be a former Yankee. And that's why I can't. This player didn't play for the Yankees.
Did he? I don't know. Maybe he did play.
I see the Y. I think
I don't even freaking know.
Is it Sonny Gray?
It is Sonny Gray.
Oh,
I saw the NY.
Son of a bitch.
I saw the Y and I thought that was a G, but I kept thinking it was
I should
Jimmy.
blurt it out.
Sonny Gray. I continue to not get points in these games.
I kept thinking that was a J. That was
Corey needed that one though. Yep.
I needed that one.
Rich, that's an S. Yeah, I'm not looking at the chat. I don't cheat in these games or
how many people got
in the middle of a queue of a trivia. So now I know we were going in. I know
a lot of people.
Joe and I are now tied at the top, and now Corey is in the sole possession of third place. Tom still in dead last. So there's your new standings for.
It only takes a core curriculum to throw a wrench into everything.
It really does.
I haven't had a core curriculum yet.
Well, Sierra, Sierra did your core curriculum for you, man.
I got you 2 points.
Sierra got you 2 points.
Good. You know what, Sierra? I appreciate that. At least I'm beating all you guys in fantasy, so that's what's most important.
Listen, for now,
I've got 3 points. 2 of them ain't even his.
Alrighty, let's talk about X. Make sure to give us a follow. The main page that is at ESB Podcast. We are over 3,200 followers and counting. Make sure to give us all individually a follow at Corey Favs, at JR Pugs, at Rich J Rivera, at T Wospil. Give our subsidiary accounts a follow at ESBNYM, at ESBNYY, and over at ESBNYY is our daily Yankee Spaces called A Bronx Take. It's co-hosted by me, Sierra, Christy Evis, and Boogie. You can give those folks a follow individually at Boogie Dan NYY, at Christy Evis 618, and at Sierra Not Missed. And again, there's a lot of folks here in our chat right now who know all about a Bronx Take. And I do appreciate you guys always showing up for our Bronx Take and participating in a great Yankees conversation. Make sure to tune in Monday through Friday, scattered times throughout the weeks. And if we're speaking of X, make sure to tune into another edition of Extra Innings right after tonight's show is over. But we're going to finish things up with our final segment. It's a rebrand of an old segment. I know Corey Favs mentioned that we debuted this last year, and we did, but we did a rebrand. Last year it was known as Who's on Deck. This year it's known as On the Way Up. And again, same deal. We're going to go around the room and talk about one prospect that you guys have your eyes on in your own system. So Corey,
Rich, I don't know if you saw the chat. Throw mine first. I gotta run. So
all right, Thomas, go ahead. We'll start with you. We'll start with the Yankees end. Who do you got here?
I got a little man named Cam Shitlitter. Maybe.
Definitely not how you pronounce it. Schlittler.
You know what? It's whatever.
Thank God John Sterling's done, so he doesn't have to worry about a name like this.
Now, listen, here's the deal. Have I seen Cam pitch? No, I have not. But you know who I have seen pitch? Will Warren and Clark Schmidt, and they stink. So Cam, basically what I did for this exercise was, who is the Yankees' top pitching prospect? Who's the closest to the majors? And Cam came up, and I just got excited thinking about him pitching instead of Will Warren. He's still, listen, he's a top 10 Yankee prospect. He's doing really well in Somerset, 2-2. I think he has over a strikeout an inning. His scouting grades have been pretty solid. Whip at 1. So you're looking at good numbers, but I'm just really thinking of the dream of not having to see Will Warren anymore.
I thought you
freaking out. You've never heard the word shit before?
Shitlitter. Shitlitter? Really?
Shitlitter.
Joe,
Schlittler.
You do not have the right to criticize pronunciation.
Oh my God! I mean, come on.
Shit litter.
Schilt.
My apologies to the Schlittler family who's possibly listening in today.
I apologize to the shit litters and the little shit out there. But I can't watch Will Warren anymore, and I'm close to not being able to watch Clark Schmidt anymore. So Cam, come save us. With that, I'm out.
Tom, get the hell out of here, man.
See you later, Thomas.
See you, Thomas.
Jesus.
All righty. That was hilarious. But while we're on the Yankee prospects, I'll talk about mine, who's also another arm, and that's Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, who's the number 6 ranked prospect in the system, a little further out than Schlittler is. But yeah, Rodriguez Cruz, 21 years old, acquired over the offseason. He was coming over from the Red Sox system, where he was named the low Class A All-Star with Salem by Baseball America. So Rodriguez Cruz is coming off a pretty good season. Actually, in 3 seasons with the Red Sox organization, went 11-11 with a 2.60 ERA, and that's across 44 starts. All the Yankees got out of this. So they acquired Rodriguez Cruz, international bonus slot money, and they sent a backup catcher. They sent Carlos Nevaez to the Boston Red Sox to get this guy in. Lively arm. He's getting up to 98 miles an hour on his fastball. And he's got some good numbers to boot. 2.25 ERA so far through 28 innings pitched. An overall scouting grade of 45. So very excited to see what Rodriguez Cruz has, but that is way down the line. His ETA is for 2027, and who even knows if he'll be ready by then. The 21-year-old, though, so far looking great for the Hudson Valley Renegades. Corey Favs, now let's get to you and talk about who you brought to the table.
I want to go with Mr. Jack Wenninger. Jack Wenninger right now is pitching for the Binghamton Rumble Ponies, which is the Mets AA team. Pretty good year thus far, too. In 5 games started, 4-1 record, 2.92 ERA, 34 strikeouts over 24 innings. So love to see it. Right now, actually in the Eastern League for AA. He's 6th overall thus far in strikeouts in the league. His teammate, Jonah Tong, who's a higher prospect in the Mets organization, is actually tied for first with 38 strikeouts. So Wenninger right there at 34. And again, this is a guy, he's lower in the Mets system. You know, depending on where you look, he's pretty consistently above 25th rank for the Mets. But it's an interesting name. A 101 whip in AA, and AA is arguably the toughest part of the organization for a prospect, because the jump from a single A team, high single A, over to AA is a lot of a bigger jump than you'd see from a AA to a AAA. So to have a 101 whip and 34 Ks over 24 innings, that's pretty nice. And again, I don't think Wenninger is going to be a top of the rotation arm, but this could be a guy, maybe this time next year, someone gets hurt, you got to make a few spot starts, get the call. That's not for Jacob deGrom. You know, he was a prospect that was never a high-ranked pitching prospect and found his way up, slightly older prospect. Wenninger, AA at 23 years old. He's not exactly a young guy, one of those 20-year-old prospects. But it's an interesting name to keep an eye out. I think he could crack the Major League roster sometime next year.
Joe, you were the only outlier here that wanted to talk about offense.
Yes. Well, listen, the Mets got a lot of pitching prospects right now, but here's one that's on the up and up. AJ Ewan, he is in high A in Brooklyn, just got promoted this year, started out in St. Lucie in single A ball, hit 400 of 506 on base percentage in 18 games. He also stole 14 bases in that time. So interesting prospect here. Not a ton of power, but he can run and he can field. Right now, he's splitting time between left field and second base. Most guys think he's going to start out and move to second base. ESPN has him ranked 27th. Not ESPN. MLB has him ranked 27th. ESPN actually had him ranked inside the top 10 of their update last week and said he was the 10th best prospect. Given the fact that his offensive production this year. Listen, I don't know if they got a really good starter or anything, but it looks like a guy who can at least come in and be a 5th infielder on the team kind of approach. If he grows into his body a little bit more and develops a little bit more power, he might be able to be projectable to start at second base. But a guy of interest I wanted to highlight, especially for the fact that he's been lighting it up in A-ball this year.
This call
16 stolen bases. I mean, that's a lot early in the season.
And this call up to Brooklyn was actually very recent. And speaking of recent call-ups, I know we didn't cover him and the Yankee portion of this because we try to give some time to talk about prospects who are not normally covered. George Lombard Jr. actually got his call from Hudson Valley to Somerset, so he'll be making his debut with Somerset.
Yep.
I think as soon as today, actually. So shout out to George Lombard Jr.
And Mets number 5 prospect Nolan McLean called up to AAA after he was 3-1 with 1.3 ERA in Binghamton AA.
He's another one on the rise.
He might be the Mets' number 1 pitching prospect by the end of this year.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Before we wrap up the show, I definitely wanted to give one more shout out. So last week on the show, guys, you remember we had Kevin Cruz on over at NYYU for the Creator Spotlight. Well, this Saturday is the inaugural softball game that NYYU is hosting in partnership with Stand Up to Cancer. All proceeds are going to Stand Up to Cancer. I'm going to be participating in the game. Now, all the play-in tickets have been sold out, but there are still tickets available for those who want to go and attend the show. I just want to attend the game. So I just wanted to bring awareness. And of course, listen, I got one of these jerseys here in the mail today. So I'll be rocking the pink Team Pete jersey for a good cause on Saturday. So hopefully we see you all out there, and shout out to our friends over at NYYU. But that is it for our show here for Empire State of Baseball. We'll be on in a few minutes for extra innings. But let's wrap things up, fellas. We always end the show at last licks before we get us out of here. Joe, why don't you start us off, and then I'll grab the next one, and Corey Favs for the wrap.
Nothing. Well, Mother's Day is coming up this weekend.
Yeah.
Thank you to all the mothers, including my wife, who is now one of the newest mothers around. I can tell you from the bottom of my heart right now that being a mother is not easy. So what mothers sacrifice and what they do for their babies and their children is unbelievable. So enjoy it to all the mothers out there.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms. Happy Mother's Day to you, Mom, to my sister, to Chrissy, to Allie Wospil, all the mothers out there, especially those within our community here. Hopefully you guys enjoy a fantastic weekend with all your family. It's going to be a great weekend ahead. And let's go hopefully these Yankees and Mets get their acts together for these series starting today. Corey Favs, let's wrap this thing up.
No, I echo everything I was just said. Joe and Chrissy, happy Mother's Day to you guys too. And Tom and Allie, same to you guys. 2 new mothers in the family. Well, Allie, second time being a mother, but same thing. Well, let's go ahead. It's going to be a wet week, but hopefully a beautiful weekend and a beautiful week for New York baseball. Only time will tell, though. Until then, take care.